Okay. So, here we are, last Q&A of the year. Not that we've done many this year, but here we are. Biffy's right there. I know that some of you wanted to see her, but she's sleeping and I don't have something higher to show her, so maybe she will pick up at one point. I changed a little bit the setup for the Q&A today. This is my desk, this is where I work, this is my teeny tiny Christmas tree. I do have a light there just to try to give like some lighting at the back. It's not always like that, it was just too bright, so I put it behind it. And it's not hot, it's a LED. And obviously I tidy before we started. Don't think it's always like that, it is not. I was supposed to have it on my iPad, but my iPad doesn't work right now. So I have my phone and my coffee and we're just going to go with it. Should we? So I asked you here on YouTube and on my Instagram if you had some question about anything literally. And I've got quite a few that I divided into categories. We have listening, speaking, learning French in general, specific French questions, and personal questions. You do have quite a few on those too. So let's start, shall we? Lots and lots of advice about listening. You guys have a lot of issue with listening to understanding in French. And I have to say, it is not as hard as you think it is. First, you should know that it's a very common problem among French learners. It's simply because in your brain, you're not connecting yet between the sounds and the spelling. And it makes sense because spoken French is all about sounds. We don't read each letters, okay? So basically what you're going to do is that you are going to take a book and the audio. And this can be quite costly. You can also go to my second channel where I post French videos only in French and you have the subtitles in French and a free PDF. So you can do that. What you're going to do is we're going to listen and read at the same time. The only reason to do that is to connect in your brain spoken French and written French. I usually advise to do one video a day or one page a day of a book, depending what you go with. All my video on the French chit chat, beside the last one that I just filmed right now before this Q&A, or it's already posted for you. This one is, I believe, 20 minutes long, but usually they are between 3 and 5 minutes. So that's one page. So it's very easy to do that every day. It doesn't take much time. I don't want this Q&A to become an ad for my books and for my workshops, but I will have a reading and listening workshop in January. It will be available on January 1st. 30 days of reading and listening, just for that purpose. Then we have speaking. We have how can I speak more naturally? How do I deal with the fear of speaking French? Speaking, you have to learn to speak the same way that you learn to speak when you were a kid. There's a lot of name for that method. Recently, a lot of teachers online have come up with the term shadowing. It's basically repeating words after words, and then group of words, and then sentences. It's exactly how you learn to speak when you were a baby, and that's how you can do it. It's incredibly efficient. I do have a few videos on that. I think I have 6 or 7 now, where you can practice that. They call French speaking practices. I will add the playlist in the description box as well. And about the fear of speaking, that really has to come from yourself. Unfortunately, the fear of speaking in another language is very, very common. I advise you to start speaking to yourself out loud, just to make you more comfortable about speaking, and then slowly start speaking with others. I believe you say you were in Morocco. Yeah. In Morocco, you can find quite a lot of French speakers. They do speak very, very fast over there, but you can't find a lot of French speakers. So maybe find someone very kind and patient and practice with them. Now we are learning French in general. How to learn French on your own. Well, it's very easy. You get my self-study guide and you just follow the lesson and all the recommendations that I have over there, and you'll be learning French. How much time a day do you think is necessary to learn French at a reasonable pace? It really depends on your own schedule, but usually I advise 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a good amount of time. You don't have to do it in one sitting. That's the thing. You can do 10, 10, 10 or 15, 15. It's up to you, really. But 30 minutes a day, I think, is a good amount of time. So here, GDC, I learned French 14 years ago, and but I forgot. Very, very common. Like to practice. How long do you think might take me to relearn what I learned? Usually, from what I've seen before, it comes back quite easily. However, you really have to be consistent and to make sure to have a very diverse activities when you learn. So basically, you really have to work on all the aspects of the language. But at the end, it can take a couple of months, can take a year. It really depends on you, on how focused you are on it, and basically about your memory as well. Why is it so hard to make the R in French? That is a very easy answer because I said it a million times, and especially in my pronunciation course, it is all about muscle memory. So it has nothing to do with you, basically. It's all about your brain sending signal to muscles that we don't use to make the French R, the French R. It's hard to mix the two languages sometimes. So basically, what you see a lot, and what I did as well in the French pronunciation course, you see people putting a chopstick or pencil between the tongue, between the teeth. Basically, what it does is that it holds your tongue at the back of your mouth, because the French R comes from the back, the English R comes from the front. So this is very, very different muscles, and until you get to know them, your brain gets to know them, you won't be able to pronounce it. So this is not about you, it's all about muscle memory. Please explain verb, mood, and tenses. A mood is a group of tenses such as indicatif. A tense is one of the verbs in the mood, such as passé composé. Easy. Do you think learning poetry in French is a good way? I don't think so. Well, it depends. Okay, are you passionate about poetry? Maybe then learn it. If you use poetry to learn French, I don't recommend it. Poetry in French use a very different structure, sentence structure, and uses tense as well that we don't really use in everyday life. So if you learn only poetry, you might end up sounding a little bit too much old school, I would say. So, but if you enjoy it, go for it. I mean, if it can help you on your learning journey, but I would not only focus on that. So I'm B1, my French vocab is great, but my grammar is kind of bad. I don't like learning grammar. How can I learn it? Unfortunately for this one, you will have to force yourself a little bit because grammar is a huge part of the language in French, like many, many languages, basically. Specific French questions. When you are asked how you are in French, can you answer je suis bien? No, you can't. You have to say je vais bien or ça va. How to say bless you in French? We say à tes souhaits, to your wishes. Please explain if we conjugate verbs that have a sentence starts with le, les, or la. Yes, we do. We always conjugate verbs. Do you have a video of tricks to identify the tenses in French? If not, can you please make one? I don't, but I think you just need to know them, really. It's gonna be hard to identify them if you don't know them. I don't know if you answered this before. When are capital letters used in the French language? Okay, to make it short, no capital letter for day and month, and nationalities when it's an adjective. yes, we do use capital letters for nouns, for countries, for cities, and for nationalities when they are noun. So you can say je suis américain. Américain is an adjective, no capital letter. J'ai vu un américain. Here it's a noun, we have a capital letter. Hope it helps. H muet versus H aspiré. This one can be tricky. You have to know them by heart. There is no rule about it, so yeah, just you have to know them by heart. Que versus qui, and then ce qui, ce que, ce dont. Those two will turn my Q&A into probably a 2-hour long video, but I do have lessons about it. I'm going to link them in the description box. You will see it very easy. Now we're into the personal ones. We have, may I ask a language question, a non-language question? What was the trickiest part of the English language for you? For me, it was the sounds. To be able to hear the sound correctly was really hard for me. And then, what country that you've never visited before would you most likely like to visit? I would love to visit Iceland. That would be my best one, but it's very expensive, so probably not gonna happen for a while. What language can you speak? What's your favorite movie? So I speak English and French. Well, French and then English, I would say. And my favorite movie is Intouchable. My favorite French movie. How many languages do you know? So I just said French and English. In the future, any plans to teach new language? I would love to. Unfortunately, there's already like a lot of very good teachers teaching English, and that's the only that's the only language I know after French. But I would love to actually publish books about other languages. And I lost my page again. What was your first source of income? It was being a waitress to pay for my school. When I was 16, that was more like 19 years ago already. Crazy. Favorite food? Chocolate. Favorite cake? Boston cream cake. It's like cake, cream, cake, chocolate. Oh, so good. What did the French eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What do you eat? How can a person who is sensitive to gluten and lactose intolerant like me survive in France? They eat a lot of things with dairy. I'm not gonna lie. But bread is bread has a ton of bread is a ton of gluten in it. Personally, I'm vegan, so knowing what I eat is not really going to help you. But I would say that it's more and more common to find food for people for celiac and for vegan and for lactose intolerant everywhere. It's just that you might have to cook yourself because restaurants are not yet there. There might be if you go to Paris, it might be easier to find than if you go somewhere that has less tourists, I would say. So if you visit over there, or if you go over there, you might have to cook a lot for yourself. I don't really hear you talk about your family back home a lot. Why not? Just curious. My family is just very private. I talk to them every day. It's just they don't share a lot of things, so I basically don't share about them either. I also don't have a big family. It can be seen as a big family. I have my grandparents on one side, I have my mom, and I have 4 brothers, and I talk with them almost every day. How much time did you give to your learning while learning English? At least 30 minutes a day, but when I couldn't do it, I tried to at least learn 10 new words of vocabulary a day. Favorite place in Belgium? I would say Bruges. Bruges, it's in the north. It's an old medieval town. It's very pretty. What is something that puts a smile on your face when you're not feeling good? My dog, my husband, and a glass of wine. In no particular order. I want to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. Why don't you have babies until now? For the one who follow my Q&A, I usually get that very, very often. I don't mind people asking me this because it's my own decision, but you should know that a lot of people struggle with fertility issues, and that sometimes asking that's kind of putting salt on a wound. It's a lot of people are struggling with that, so I don't mind because once again, it's my own decision. The reason why I don't have kids now is because I'm child free. I made the decision a long time ago to not have children. To be honest, I've never wanted children, and yeah, basically, it's not that I don't like them, I just don't want my own. And before you comment or wait until you get older, you will want children, I am 35 years old. I've never wanted children. It's not going to change tomorrow. My husband doesn't want children either. We have a dog and we're really fine like this. Well, that was actually the last one. So, thank you so much for all your questions and for staying with me until the end of the year. I really hope that my French lesson helped you this year with your French. I hope the one next year are going to help you as well. That's the last video of the year, so I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll be back the first Wednesday of the year, I believe, hopefully. And no, I will be back. I will, because I have to. I will be back the first Wednesday of the year. So I will see you then. And if you want to register for my workshop, for my reading and listening workshop in January, please keep an eye on your emails because I will send them on January 1st. À l'année prochaine. See you next year.